The cost of a war with Iran isn't just about bombs and battlefields. It's about everyday essentials. The price of the pump, the cost of food on the table, rent, even the stability of your savings. Right now, tensions between the U.S., Israel, and Iran have flared into open conflict, with international airstrikes and missile exchanges shaking markets, and governments first warn oil prices could spike dramatically. Insurance premiums for global shipping are soaring, and economies around the world, from the Gulf to Singapore, are already the ripple effects. But beyond dollars and cents, this fight could rewrite the future of a region and millions. So let me ask you, if war comes, what exactly would we pay and who would pay it? What would a war cost with Iran? Good question, what it's going to add up to be. Not just in missiles, just in headlines, but in dollars, lives, global stability, and the American economy. When people talk about conflict with Iran, the focus usually lands on geopolitics, nuclear programs, regional tensions, oil routes, military strategy. But the real question most Americans ask is simpler. What's this mean to us? History shows wars rarely cost what leaders predict. They almost always cost more financially, politically, and socially. So today we're breaking it down. Direct military cost estimates, impact at home, and the long-term consequences most people don't consider. Now, not speculation for drama, but this is a sober look at what modern warfare actually costs. I've been there and done it through 3 different conflicts over the years. This is not pretty. Let's start with the most obvious expense, the military bill. The United States currently spends more than $800 billion per year on defense. That's just to keep a standing military. A war with Iran wouldn't replace that spending. It would stack on top of that. Iran is not Iraq in 2003. It has a population over 85 million, a large battle-tested military, advanced missile capabilities. The key thing here, their land-based military has never gone outside its borders in reality, not much. It has no logistical capability, so it's very constricted. Regional proxy forces across the Middle East and difficult terrain that favors defense. They could do very mountainous country. Military analysts have estimated that even a limited air and naval campaign could cost tens of billions of dollars in the first few months alone. A broader conflict, especially one involving ground forces, could escalate into the hundreds of billions per year. And that would cost a lot of our blood and treasure. The Iraq War is estimated to have cost the U.S. alone over $2 trillion long term. Afghanistan, that was another $2 trillion. When you include veteran care and interest on borrowed funds, some estimates push a combined total over $6 trillion. A war with Iran would likely require sustained air operations, naval deployments in the Persian Gulf, missile defense systems, cyber warfare capability, and potential ground operations. That alone is going to be astronomical. Tomahawk missile cost approximately $1 to $2 million. An F-35 jet costs around $80 million. Operating an aircraft carrier strike group costs millions per day. The meter runs fast in all this. We are already in debt $38 billion as of this year. So this would spike our economy's debt. Okay, let's look at the oil and energy side of the house. The shock the system is going to happen. Now, let's talk about something that hits home quickly. The oil. Iran sits next to the Strait of Hormuz, one of the most important oil choke points in the world. Doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure this one out. Roughly 20% of the oil supply passes through that narrow strait of water. Even temporary disruptions could push the oil well above $100 a barrel. Right now, it's sitting around $50, and it can go up 100 or more. In worst case scenario, an analyst has warned it could go much higher. And I believe that. What does that mean for Americans? Higher gas prices for sure. Could easily go up by the end of the year to $6 a gallon. Higher shipping costs, higher grocery bills, higher airline tickets, higher inflation overall. I mean, we're going to get choked to death. Energy is embedded in nearly everything in the modern economy. When oil rises sharply, inflation tends to follow. And when inflation rises, central banks often raise interest rates. Higher interest rates mean more expensive mortgages. I mean, you got the government talking about going to mortgages above 50-year rate. I mean, you'll die before you finish paying that off. More expensive car loans. I mean, they're scalping us on those car loans. More expensive credit. In other words, the cost of the war could show up at the gas pump within the weeks. And that would be before even factoring in global market panic. Okay? Now, war with Iran could not happen in isolation. It could pull in regional powers. Of course, we've got Israel already. Saudi Arabia would be pulled in. Hezbollah in Lebanon. U.S. forces in Iraq and Syria. And the Russians are saber-rattling. Global markets dislike uncertainty. Military escalation in the Middle East often causes stock market volatility, capital flight to safe haven assets, increased defense spending, currency fluctuations, and there's also a cyber retaliation. I mean, New York City is on heightened state of alert right now. Iran is investing heavily in cyber warfare capabilities, attacks on U.S. financial systems, energy infrastructure, critical utilities, would create economic disruption beyond the battlefield. Even limited cyber attacks could cost billions in recovery and lost productivity. And there's trade. While the U.S. does not trade heavily with Iran directly due to sanctions, global supply chains could still be affected, especially if oil shocks trigger wider instability. Now, human costs of all of this. Financial numbers are massive, but wars are not just budget entries. A war with Iran would likely involve U.S. service members deployed into high-risk environments. Iran military and civilian casualties. Regional instability affecting millions. We've already had one of our missiles hit an elementary school. 160 little children killed. I mean, I don't know how they take a missile and get it within a 12-digit grid, and then you're taking out elementary school. Something's wrong. Iran's military include not conventional forces, but also proxy groups across the region. Iran's been a big supporter of Hezbollah and all these other groups. So they could activate and push the Houthis out to really cut down shipping going into the Strait of Hormuz from the other side. That means conflicts could spread beyond one's border. History shows that even limited wars rarely stay limited. And the problem with most of these wars, and especially ones in the past that I've been in, there's no strategy. I guarantee you, no one has a plan. Everybody has a great idea how to get into a war. No one in all the history of warfare has really planned on an exit strategy, except for military planners have been planning on an exit strategy for years, what to get done. War since then just been into one side or the other exhaust itself. After Iraq and Afghanistan, U.S. faces decades of veteran health obligations, disability payments, and mental health services. These costs continue long after the shooting stops, and they often include an early war cost estimates. Now, let's look at the long-term strategic costs. Beyond money and lives, there's another cost, strategic positioning. War with Iran strained alliances. Trump doesn't seem to care about having any alliances. He thinks that the U.S. can go alone at anything on any time. And, the allies, especially NATO, got sucked into the first Gulf War, the second Gulf, and they paid a price for it. They will never come to the, we're going to have reshaped Middle East power balances with that Iran being reduced. Somebody's going to fill that for sure. Impact negotiations around nuclear policy, shift global diplomatic relationships. This could easily hurt us with, for example, Saudi Arabia. It could also push Iran closer to other global powers. It's China or Russia. Russia, I don't think so. China, yes. Prolonged conflict that creates unintentional consequences, power vacuums, insurgencies, and regional arm races. The Iraq War, for example, reshaped the region in ways that few policymakers predicted in 2003. Strategic costs are harder to measure. For example, they can shape decades of foreign policy. And the thing that I want to dip into here, Trump, all the time he campaigned, promised no more wars, no more forever wars. He's getting us into another one. I don't know what got into his mind to do this, but some people could say it's to get away from the Epstein situation or anything else or something. Who knows? But it's something that he promised that we would never get into. And look where we're at. I mean, financially, we're likely tens to hundreds of billions annually, potentially trillions long term. Economically, higher oil prices, inflation, market volatility, and domestic economic pressure. Lives lost, veterans needing lifelong care, regional instability. I mean, look at Iran, they've lost tens of thousands of lives that the GRC killed in the recent uprisings. We didn't go help them out at that point a couple months ago, and now we're going to do so. Why? Strategically, unpredictable shifts in global power dynamics. Key takeaway is this: modern war is rarely quick. Never happens. Rarely simple, rarely cheap. Whether one believes military action is necessary or not, the full cost must be understood before decisions are made. Because history shows one consistent pattern. The price of war is almost higher than expected, and the price is paid not only on the battlefield, but in households, budgets, and futures. The lives of our children and grandchildren are going to be affected by the outcomes of this conflict here on where it goes. Technically, not a war. We're just having a missile exchange. And in order to go to war, the president needs Congress. And Congress is not going to give it to him. So I don't think that Trump can go too far, but we'll have to see. I hate to see the lives lost, and I hope it's not anybody I know. And I hope it's not any of your sons or daughters that are involved right now. I hope that for the sake of all of them that are involved in this conflict, that something is done soon. I appreciate what everybody's doing. One of the couple of videos that I published in the past got a lot of feedback. I plan to do a video just on all those responses. The thing I keep trying to tell people, I don't know why so many on the right think I'm some liberal leftist. Oh, hell no. Don't even go there, buddy. I will pound you into the ground. You know, I'm a sensualist. I mean, I'm sure that's a hard concept for you to grasp. And that's where I really want to be able to take a focus and show people that you can come to agreements on things. You don't need to be so tribal that you're so far to the left and so far to the right, you can't see past the end of your nose. And I really want to bring this out for people to at least try and let's explore this, because we've got to get to a middle ground in America. If we don't, our country's going to implode. We don't need to go to a civil war. But in any case, thank you. God bless. Like I've always said, take care of yourself, take care of your family and your community, and God bless the U.S. Thanks for tuning in. Stay curious, stay kind, and as always, have a wonderful rowdy. Take good care of yourself and each other. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that bell. I'll see you in the next video.